Gojo vs Sukuna was the most anticipated fight in the entire series, and it definitely took the cake for manga fight of this year, at least from my perspective. But with all good fights comes a victor and a loser. In chapter 235, majority of the community thought Sukuna had officially lost, and therefore Gojo was crowned the winner. But to everyone's surprise, Gege hit us with the craziest plot twist, rivaling even the Sukuna Megumi chapter. The plot twist was Sukuna killing Gojo. As Sukuna stood there in front of Gojo's topless legs and body on the floor, he finally acknowledges Gojo and tells him he'll never forget him. Gojo smiles, and in the next page, the narrator starts speaking to us. Sparing no time to mourn the death of Gojo Satoru, he launches onto the battlefield. Sukuna, looking at the new challenger, says, "I'm feeling great right now, so please, don't spoil my pleasure." Who was he speaking to? It was none other than Kashimo Hajime, the god of lightning. What's up guys, Restless Gambler here, and in today's video, we'll be going over what might happen in Kashimo's upcoming fight with Sukuna. Now that Gojo is dead, who's going to stop Sukuna's rampage? Well, let's find out. If you're enjoying the JJK manga right now, go ahead and subscribe. It's a win-win for both of us. First off, we have to understand Kashimo's background. In chapter 187, Kashimo goes through a round in Hikari's domain expansion, Restless Gambler. It was bullshit, to be honest. Every time he would beat him up, Hikari would just rewind time, and he did it effectively to the point where they would just enter reach mode and Hikari would eventually get his jackpot. Kashimo watches as Hikari dances in his face and starts an internal monologue. It's begun. The 4 minutes and 11 seconds of invincibility mode after winning a jackpot. With unlimited curse energy, it becomes fully automatic reverse curse technique. He talks about how the jackpot Hikari hit was even numbers, so the next round would just be a faster spin rather than a guaranteed jackpot. And so he comes to a conclusion. If I can get out of this 4 minutes and 11 seconds, I win. But Kashimo isn't satisfied with that conclusion. He says that's what a small fry would think. And so he tells Hikari to turn up the music and prepare for his living funeral. In the 4 minutes and 11 seconds he's immortal, Kashimo will find out a way to kill him no matter what. And on the same page, we enter a short flashback to end the chapter. An old man is sitting by himself surrounded by dismembered corpses. Kenjaku in a different body asks him if he had fun, but the old man really didn't. He then says he should have challenged him instead, but Kenjaku really isn't in the mood for a fight. So he tells him about Ryo Ishigori, who's in a faraway place from there. The distance is important because the old man thinks he doesn't have enough time to go all the way out there for a battle. So he asks Kenjaku who the strongest sorcerer he knows is. Without a second thought, Kenjaku says Sukuna and admits that even though it was 600 years ago, it's still undisputed. The old man takes in the information and ends up accepting Kenjaku's offer in return for a fight with Sukuna. And then we see lightning surround the old man, confirming to us that it was Kashimo. With just this chapter, we get a check into Kashimo's mindset. He wants to fight the strongest and get a kick out of it. In chapter 189, after a drawn out fight with Hikari, he thinks he won. But in the next page, after claiming Hikari's probably gone, Hikari punches my guy and he's shook that Hikari's even intact. We obviously get our explanation on how Hikari survived, but that's not important here. What is what Hikari says after defeating Kashimo. He says, "Kashimo, I don't think I won that. I mean, you didn't even use your curse technique." He goes on to say that he's strong with just his curse energy property manipulation, but this was just a hunch and Kashimo confirms it. But this is the most important part. Kashimo says, "It's because my curse technique can only be used a single time, and I wish to only use it against Sukuna, nothing more." This statement came with a lot of implications, so let's go over the most obvious ones, then analyze deeper to understand what Kashimo's curse technique might actually be. First off, it's quite obvious that this curse technique will be almost game-changing for the series' power scaling. Clearly, with such build-up, saying it's a one-time use technique and only wanted to use it against Sukuna, this curse technique will show us something crazy. So right off the bat, let's eliminate any assumptions that Kashimo's curse technique will be easily countered by Sukuna. I don't think Gege is capable of pulling off such ass. But also, in what way could the curse technique be so strong other than outside hype? Well, what about the fact that the curse technique could be held to a crazy binding vow? After all, limiting techniques to certain requirements or conditions will make a curse technique stronger. And this limitation of only using it against the one named Sukuna is something I think can amp the curse technique to a manga breaking extent. But now I think we should discuss what the curse technique itself would be. I myself have come up with 3 different ideas to what it could be, and I'll start with the least likely. In my thumbnail, I took a lot of inspiration from Sasuke's Kirin for the commission, and so this was obviously my first idea for what Kashimo's curse technique might be, a huge, very powerful attack of lightning. This is the least likely, however, because even though Gege can amp this attack to insane amounts of AP and destructive capabilities, a huge attack just wouldn't satisfy our dozens of chapters of anticipation for his technique. But it's still a cool concept. I mean, just imagine a giant tiger or any crazy animal of lightning coming down just like Angel's technique. The next idea I had was a lightning armor that amps all his stats tenfold to the point where bro can even match the honored ones. This one is honestly probably what everyone wants, and is such a cool idea. The design could be so insane. I'm thinking like Godspeed Killua for the hair and aura, or for the armor, something like Noelle's water armor but with lightning. And also, instead of the water lance that she has, his staff gets incorporated into it too. And bro, the power amp he would receive has no right to be anything other than series changing. This is definitely more probable than a Kashimo Kirin, but there's one more thing I think is more probable. This idea is something crazy. If you ever watched One Piece, there was this scene that was stuck in my head because it was so outlandish. When you enter the new world, there are 3 islands you have to choose from. The other 2 don't matter. The one most important here is Raijin Island. This design is literally insane, an island with literal consistent lightning strikes. Now obviously you're not here to talk about One Piece Island, so let's take this back to JJK. What if Kashimo's curse technique allows him to literally control the weather in his vicinity, and in the case of him being in domain, he spawns weather wherever he wants to, and on top of that, it amps his abilities tenfold. This would definitely satisfy all of our anticipation. It would be series breaking. Kashimo's use of it during battle would be very entertaining to us, and honestly, this is an all-around very interesting and cool idea. So obviously, these are just my thoughts and theories based on hype. I don't really want to go into analyzing religious symbolism or stuff like that, so definitely tell me you guys' thoughts in the comments. But now we have to answer the most important question of all: what will happen in their fight? Well, I made a post yesterday asking you guys for your opinion, and we got some good answers, so let's get into them. I expect from him that he pushes Sukuna to the extent where Sukuna will show us his innate curse technique and other abilities. I think we saw all we needed from the 10 shadows, so we have to move on. Or push Sukuna to the extent where he has to use his true body. I don't see him winning, but I don't see him losing easily. We'll start off with this comment because right off the bat, this is definitely what I think. There's this assumption that Kashimo is going to get washed completely, and I just don't see that happening. There was too much buildup for this fight for it to just be a one-sided stomp, especially after Sukuna just fought the strongest sorcerer of the modern era. Again, like I said earlier, I don't think Gege is capable of riding such ass. But again, this comment, it really says what I've been thinking. I don't think Kashimo will win. Hell no, there's no point in that. Plus, it will be very unsatisfying if a character introduced over like 150 chapters into the series killed our first ever antagonist. The one to kill Sukuna can only be one person, and I think we all know who I'm talking about. Yes, the first person to inhabit Sukuna, Yuji Itadori, but that's a topic for another video. Sukuna showing us techniques other than the 10 shadows is a must. The reason we believe Sukuna has more is because Gojo told us that. He literally said he wasn't giving it his all. And because there was something he was hiding, Gojo, the most egotistical guy in the entire verse, didn't even believe he could beat him without Megumi's body. What it is definitely a mystery, but again, a topic for another video. And finally, Sukuna's real body. I have been hearing about this theory in the community for a long ass time, and I never really looked into it. And I still haven't. But the point is that this could be a game-changing thing. Gege has gone full bleach, so I expect Plot Kuna to get pressed for an entire fight, then pull out another one-shot at the end, and smoke a blunt over Kashimo's corpse while Megumi wishes for death in his inner world. This reminds me of a theory I saw on TikTok, so I'll go more into detail on what this refers to. The theory says that Kashimo versus Sukuna will end up like Yuha versus Ichibei. I'll give a quick summary of Yuha versus Ichibei to put it into perspective. In that fight, Ichibei finally uses his Bankai, a very OP one at that. And he was violating Yuha, like It was crazy. But then Yuha unlocked his power, Almighty, and returned the favor. I think you can already see the comparison. Ichibei is Kashimo and Yuha is Sukuna. Kashimo is about to pull out an insane curse technique that will press Sukuna for a while, like Ichibei uses Bankai and press Yuha for a while. But then Sukuna will pull out something new that we've never seen before, and it will ultimately lead to his win. Just like Yuha pulling out Almighty and beating Ichibei because of it. Very interesting. Let me know you guys' thoughts in the comments. And for time's sake, we'll go over one more comment. Cover chapter 236. We need your take on how Sukuna actually pulled this one off. A lot of Gojo stans are denying IQ points, but Gege clearly stated when it comes to Jujutsu, no one reaches Sukuna. Also, Kashimo about to get smoked. It would be hella funny if Sukuna used Noi's electricity to counter him, similar to what he did to Jogo's fire. See, I would have done a chapter review, but I'm on a timer. If things go right, I'm writing the script less than 24 hours before I drop this video, so yeah. But I do want to go over Gojo's loss. I think Sukuna's explanation made sense. Sukuna is a monster when it comes to Jujutsu. Like this comment said, Sukuna is the pinnacle of it. We literally watched this man use Jogo's flames against him, and now we're supposed to be surprised when he can copy a technique from Mahuraga? Even more, Sukuna admits there were multiple ways to counter Infinity, but he chose the one best fit for him because the other way was something he couldn't do himself. So no, I don't think this was an ass pull in any way, and I think this just shows Sukuna has top 1 battle IQ. Now the second part of this comment is something I went over already, but honestly we really don't know what will happen. I just want y'all to do one thing. Let Gege cook.